You don't just train a Gundog with a tennis racket and tennis ball. Yes, you build drive, but then you've got to put in the obedience. You've got to put in the control. And practicing scenarios like this takes time, and it takes a time to build this up with the dog and to gain confidence with the dog. Stopping the dog at a distance is a really important thing, and be able to handle your dog onto something. And it doesn't matter that you just can't go out shooting with the dog as soon as you've got the dog to pick something and put its head down, because it will just take over and do its own thing. The idea is you've got to put the obedience in at the right stage, and the obedience doesn't come straight away. The gameplay comes straight away, and then we start to add the obedience and the control. And as the dog matures and gets older, the dog starts to understand the lessons you've put it through, and it's repetition, repetition, repetition. That builds up that desire and drive, and that's what dog training is about. It's about building up in stages. I hear so many people saying you can proof a dog in so many ways, in such a quick way. You can get so much of it in there, but the dog will lose that. It's better to build a very strong foundation, a foundation of trust to begin with, and then take it up to a next level. And then you bring in the control. And at that way, the dog wants to play the game. He still thinks it's a game, but you've built it up in stages rather than getting frustrated with the dog and racing out after the dog. You don't see me racing out after the dog very often because I'm educating the dog, but I've done it in stages. I don't have to race out after the dog that much. I see so many young dogs coming to me with a little bit of training, and yet they haven't got the steadiness. And one of the most important things is to stop. And you build it up with the dummies. If you've got the desire to retrieve the dummy, you can build it up. It's the same with this young dog here. She's learning to run a straight line, and it takes time before they'll run a straight line and just keep going until they come across something. But it's trust. You're building trust, and that's what it's about. And it doesn't happen. You can't do it at 6 months old. If you do, you just make the dog handler reliant, and then the dog has to rely on you for everything. And what we want to tap into that natural ability, but make it man-made where we need to make it man-made. And like Wiz, for instance, is a fine example of a dog that we didn't rush, and yet he's a pleasure to own, and he's retrieved thousands and thousands of birds, whether it's in the going out shooting, rough shooting, whether it's in the picking up line, or whether we go beating. This dog can do it all, and he loves it. But he had to be taught to do this. He wasn't a natural. It just didn't happen. He's well bred, and he was very skittish when I got him at 5 months of age, and that's the only reason I got him, because he's out of a champion to champion, but he was a nervous wreck. He was scared of his own shadow, and that's probably because they did too much with him too soon and messed him up. And then when he came to me, he couldn't do none of it. He could hunt, but he could hunt for himself. And I remember taking him up on the moors to see what he goes like, and he was just taking in so much ground and not listening at all. So what I had to do is I had to tap into the mind and say, right, I want you to work for me, not for yourself. I want you to work as a partnership with both of us. Now, some dogs are hard and some dogs are soft, and each dog has to be assessed. And if you don't know how to assess the dog, that's when a professional trainer can come in and help you. But I hear so many horror stories about dogs that have been allowed to take over a little bit, and then customers take the dog to the trainer, and the trainer turns around and says, get rid of it. It's useless. It'll never make the grade. We've proved these dogs can make the grade, but what you have to do is change the mindset of the dog. You can't let the dog take over. You've got to have the control when you need it, but you don't want to be a control freak. But the control and the advanced handling comes in later. To begin with, all you need the dog to do is the very basics of hunt tight, reasonably close to you, stop when told, mark the retrieve and get out and pick it. Then you can start putting in the advanced training. Too many people are trying to do too much too soon with these dogs, and they create a bigger problem. And that's what I find. And I find that the people who are not rushing these dogs aren't having the problems. The people who are trying to rush forward because they're seeing other people on the internet with a 6-month-old dog sitting on a place board and not moving till told. The idea is, do you want to suppress that dog to such an extent, or do you want a dog you can be proud of in the field? And this is what this is about. These videos are there to show you that without putting too much discipline and obedience into the dog, you can have a partnership and a relationship with the dog where the dog doesn't want to leave you, doesn't want to clear off, doesn't want to go away from you. And then you start to push it out there with these long retrieves and this control that you do later on. And like I say, you don't do this to a 12-month-old dog and expect this dog to be perfect. But look how he's marking, look how he's sitting, look how he's waiting. It's all part and parcel of what we want him to do. He wants to play the game. It's not been bashed into him. It's gameplay. He's come alive with gameplay. He's reacting to me through gameplay. And yet someone walk in the kennel and they see him, they go, how come he's so nervous? That's because of his past life, his early experiences in life. He wasn't humanized. He wasn't given time to develop and grow up and love people. He was weary of people, weary of everybody. Why? I can't tell you, because I haven't got a crystal ball. I can't say he was abused, because I don't think he was abused. I just think the trainer who had him put him away and thought, I'll bring him out, or they did too much with him, and I can't really tell you because I wasn't there. But what I can tell you, he was a nervous wreck, and he's still got that trait in him to this day.